Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to my channel. This video is going to be my second worm harvest. I started this worm farm with 5,000 worms 6 months ago. Every 3 months I have a harvest, and this is going to be my second harvest. I'm 6 months in. So I started with 5,000 worms. They say every 3 months that the worms will double. So if I started out with 5,000, by my first harvest I should have had 10,000. By my second harvest, I should have had 20,000. But I also added another 8,000 in. So I would say roughly I have anywhere from I would say 35 to 40,000 worms in these two bins. And bin number one, I only fed them one 5-gallon bucket full of apples and cucumbers, and that's basically it. And then, of course, my dry amendments and the zupu. And bin number two, I went ahead and did double the feeding, which I should have spaced out just a little bit more. All of this is trial and error. And I mean, also I'm just learning as I go. I just started this 6 months ago, but I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos, and I never realized that there's a worm community. There's a lot of people out there that's been really helpful. Kind of made some YouTube friends throughout this whole worm farm. So it's been a pretty cool experience, and just kind of moved by how they reproduce and what all they do for the soil, and just the microbiology and everything that goes into it. It's just beyond amazing to me. I mean, this is really cool to get into worms. So I mean, if you're thinking about it, I suggest go ahead and get some and try it out. It's great to use on your garden. I'm using some on my garden, but I'm also getting into selling some of these castings, and I have some people right now that's lined up wanting to buy some of my castings, and basically they want all that I have. And I don't really want to just sell to one person, because I want to split it up and have other people be able to benefit from the castings. So my goal is to just keep on buying more worms and just keep on adding more bins and keep filling the orders, because I have a lot of people that's wanting castings right now. But just it's just a side business, and a little side hustle that I'm doing, and also just like a hobby. I mean, I like doing this type of stuff. Oh, look, he's already trying to check it out. He said, "What is that?" Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, check it out, buddy. Oh, look at all those worms. Oh, they're so thick. They're gonna love this. This guy smells the strawberries. He's like, "I'm on my way. Here I come." This here is a lemon cucumber. So you can see them worms are tearing it up. The key secret to make some castings like this is love. You got to show them worms some love. Can't be stingy to the worms. You got to feed them that good stuff. You gotta treat them worms like your kids. They'll make beautiful castings like this. Feeding my worms some soul food. Got them turnip greens on top. Just picked them fresh out the garden. I got 3 to 4 weeks before my harvest. Figured I'd go ahead and give them something to snack on. Putting all of my food to this side, starting the water to this side. I went ahead and everything that was dry, all my stuff that didn't have a lot of worms in it, all my castings, I set over here. Let this stuff start to dry out. Let the worms keep doing their thing. Over on this side, same thing over here. And Gonna get us a harvest in 3 or 4 weeks and go ahead and harvest this stuff. Man, it's looking so good. So what I'm going to do is none of this really has any worms in it. It's also everything that I pushed over to the side. So I'm going to go ahead and take this, put it over here in the dry bin for drying. So I thought I was going to be able to go through here and not get any worms because it was dry, but it's looking like there's still worms in here. I'm real curious to see if I put this through my shaker, what's going to happen to these worms. Look, these worms are already trying to crawl out. I'm going to try that real quick before I get any further. Here's the real test right here. See if these worms go through. See if my castings go through into this bucket, and if my worms fall off into this bin. Here's the test. Looks like most of my worms are right there at the end. See a worm right there. I don't know how good it's going to work. I see some worms in this also. Alright, I don't know how that's going to work. Let's see. My other plan is to take all this, filter it through my shaker, and then all this, I have a piece of glass right over there. I'm going to try to put all of this on the glass and see if, put a light over it and see if the worms go away from the light and I'm able to get my worms through this stuff that's kind of wet. Alright, so I place my light directly over this glass table, kind of thin this stuff out. The worms are going to try to run from the light. What I'm hoping is that they run into this pile of this moist castings. There's a lot of worms already in there, but my thought is like these worms right here, that they'll move into this pile. Might take a little bit of time, or I can also kind of just go through this pile. If I don't see any worms, break it off into a tub. You see how thick these worms are on this wetter soil, wetter castings. I mean, they are all in here. All the worms I got out of bin number 2. Hand picked. One by one. This right here is some castings that I took off of bin number 2 and just kind of like letting dry out. These are ready. I think I'm gonna go ahead and start screening these tomorrow. So basically what I do is like I'll take, and I guess you got to make sure that there's no scorpions, and I'm not wearing gloves. As you can see, I guess I didn't learn my lesson the first time. But what you do is I just take my hand and I just run it through it. I see how much moisture is in there because you'll tell by how much sticks to your hand. If you can run your hand through and it, you know, there's not a lot of moisture, it doesn't really stick to your hand, it's pretty good. You know, you want a little bit of moisture, but you don't want it too dry and you don't want it too wet. So that's how I tell. This is ready to go through. So this is the castings that I got. I got 42 pounds off of the top of bin number 2. And I still got all this in bin number 2. I still got some of this right here that I'm kind of just waiting for it to dry out. I'll probably go ahead and take this off now. I'll go ahead and do the same process as I just did with taking this off, letting it dry. Let it dry for about a week and then go ahead and separate it. Okay, so this right here is 42 pounds that I got from bin number 2. This here is everything that's left over. I think what I'm going to start doing with this is I'm going to start putting all this in like my compost pile and having it break down some more. Alright, this is what I got. This was completely full just about whenever I started. This is everything that's left over. You can see this is still good castings, just thick. Some clumps in it. Probably go ahead and filter that out again, but I'm gonna go ahead and use this for my garden. This is the stuff that I'll be using this spring. And then I'm gonna go ahead and sell this. This is 1/8 inch. That was all 1/4 inch right there. But you can see this 1/8 inch is pretty fine. Alright, this is going to be my first big batch of castings that I'm going to sell. The guy said that he really didn't need it down to 1/8 inch. He said he was alright with 1/4 inch. So here is 32 quarts of 1/4 inch castings. And this here is 80 quarts of 1/8 inch castings. Be my first sale. And I'm about 8 months into my worm farm. I've been using a lot for the garden, and it's been winter time, so I'm gonna have some before spring. So I figured I'd go ahead and sell what I have, what I've been sitting on. So this will be my first sale right here. So it turned out.